Sure.
Steve Saccomano here with the Saccomaniacs Agriculture for Autism Golf Tournament. We're about 5 days away from our 12th annual event, of which we raised close to $500,000 in the first 11 years. One of the companies that's been a huge part of that has been Vitalus. And I'm pleased to be joined with Phil Vanderpol, CEO and president of Vitalus, and Elena, is it Elena or Elena? Sorry.
It's Elena.
Elena Middlemass. She's the manager of the corporate services. Thank you both for joining me today.
Thank you. Thanks for having us.
Before we get into our event and what we do, let's talk a little bit about Vitalus and your company. Tell us a little bit about what your company does for the community.
All right. So Vitalus goes way back. Actually started in the early 1950s by my grandfather. I've always been involved with agricultural products. Vitalus grew out of a family business in the early 2000s, and we are a value-added dairy ingredients customer, and we supply dairy ingredients that go into mainly nutritional products on a global basis. We have 2 locations, one here in Abbotsford and another one in Winnipeg.
So what kind of products are we talking about, Phil?
So we're talking milk protein concentrates and isolates. So most of our business is B2B, so you won't see the finished product. But if you consume products like Boost or Ensure or Atkins products, or if you've had to go to the hospital and get any kind of food supplementation, it would contain our ingredients. We also, when you have your Tim Hortons Double, most likely contains our cream. And as well, a couple years ago, we launched a brand new product called Galacto Oligosaccharide. We call it GOS for short because that's a little complicated, but it's a prebiotic fiber, and it goes into infant formula and also into healthy aging products.
And let's not forget the other product. There's a product called Vodka. What's that all about?
Well, that's in our innovation pipeline. So one of our byproducts is permeate or lactose. And one of the things that you can do with lactose that most people probably don't know is you can ferment it and create alcohol. So we can create alcohol from a byproduct of our production.
As you know, I have we have our dairy farm, family farm in Ontario, and every time I go back to visit, I go find a bottle of it in the local liquor store out there. So,
well, hopefully you'll be able to find it here in the next year or so.
Yeah, because Ontario is a little harder to get to these days because of COVID and stuff.
Correct.
Talking about COVID, what has been your organization's response to the COVID pandemic? How has that affected you guys?
Well, as any company, I think it's affected us pretty significantly. We, of course, first steps immediately were to protect our people. As a food processing company, we have a lot of the hygiene measures that were already in place, but we've enhanced them further just to ensure the safety of our employees, but also of our products. We are an essential service company, so our products are relied upon by customers that use it into medically necessary products. So as I mentioned, products that go into the hospitals. Some of our products actually went into the main trauma centers that were feeding the COVID patients. So it's very important that we continue to operate. We followed all of the government guidelines, the provincial health officer, the BC Center for Disease Control, and also WorkSafe BC. So we've put in all the physical distancing practices, sanitation requirements, everything else, segregation of plant and office. A lot of our office staff has been working from home, so the remote work environment we've had to create here. So all of those practices we've put in place, we stay on top of all the latest communication, both provincially, federally, and globally, because we are in all those markets. So we've also had to pivot on our cream side of the business. As you know, food service took a big hit. That was one of our main markets. So we've had to pivot those products into other areas, including retail, to keep that going. And infant formula, some of the development work has slowed down right now, but we're continuing to interact with our customers globally using video conference, which I'm sure all of you are become very familiar with, whether it's Zoom or Teams or Skype. We've all become very attuned to that.
Yeah, as we are using StreamYard right now. How many employees does your company have?
So we have about 100 here, and we have 65 in Winnipeg.
Okay, so it's fairly large.
Decent.
What is 2020? What's in store for you for 2020 and 2021?
Well, I think the reality that COVID has taught us is life isn't just going to go back to normal. So I think one of the things that we as a company and as a society, we have to learn to live with this new reality. What does that look like? How does that change? How do we still continue to move forward and prosper and thrive within this new environment? So that's what we're setting up for. What does the world look like going forward? How do we continue to do business? How do we interact with each other in this new environment while staying safe? Travel was a big part of our business, being global. Our sales staff, our technical staff, a lot of interactions with the customers. Again, a lot of that has had to go online. I think, even as things maybe get calmed down on COVID, I think some of these new realities are just going to be part of the way we work and going forward. I think the other aspect which feeds into our marketplace is the focus on being healthy and having nutritious foods. I think is a growing trend globally that we want to make sure that we're part of.
I think your company, and and in my career, my profession, we're both blessed to be in an industry, in agriculture, where people have to eat and they need safe, nutritious food. You provide that. I work primarily in the supply managed sector as well, so we tend to be ticking along as we go through this pandemic together. So we're kind of blessed to be dealing with the industries that we are, and the dairy industry. The dairy industry itself is very lucky to have companies like yourself that can take products and turn them into value-added products like you do. So thank you to your organization for what you do. Now, touching on the ag sector, and our tag is Agriculture for Autism. We're 12 years running. 13 years ago, I came up with an idea. Hey, why don't I take ag and why don't I put autism together, put it with golf, because I know farmers like to golf. I like to golf. And let's see if this works. And, companies like yourself have proven that it works. I know that you probably get approached by many, many organizations for support. Why did you choose to support the Saccomaniacs Agriculture for Autism initiative?
Well, besides your charm and good luck, Steve, which of course is a factor.
I was waiting for that.
You didn't pay me for that, by the way. Well, agriculture has always been part of our history, is part of our industry. We feel it's integral. And even when you look at what consumers require today, they're looking for sustainability all the way back through the supply chain, including the farm. So we want to make sure that we're part of the agricultural community. And as you said, you set this up really linked into the agricultural community. So we're part of that. So that's an important aspect. Ag4Autism, and specifically PAFN Fraser Valley, supports families not only in our community, but right across BC. So we think that's important. Part of what we do is we have a charity committee within Vitalus that looks at all these requests that we get, and we get a lot of them. And a key evaluating metric that we use is that it needs to align with our core values, which are integrity, care, and expertise. And certainly when you look at this and the care it provides to the individuals and to the families, it certainly supports that. So all of those things, it kind of ticks the box for what we need to be involved in our community, in agriculture here in the province and in Abbotsford, Fraser Valley. And ultimately, as our business is it creates our ability to continue to grow and contribute to the greater good of society. So positive impact for our employees that understand what we're supporting and involved in, our communities, and ultimately all of our stakeholders.
Your position as a sponsor has been the volunteer sponsor, and that kind of falls right in line with your core values as a company. Our volunteers care for what we do. They have integrity. They work hard to to make the day go by. I mean, most golfers, they'll show up for the day and they go home and the tournament's over. But it's a 365-day endeavor, of which when we get closer to the date, there's a lot of people working behind the scenes to make it work. And one of the comments I get from a lot of our participants is, It's a fun day. It's very organized. It's run really well, and that doesn't happen unless we have volunteers. And your company's donation every year helps support our volunteers and brings them to the table. I know, Elena, we reach out to you throughout the year. You've supported personally yourself, which has been greatly appreciated. So in my mind, when I look at agriculture for autism and a company like yours, it just falls right in line with what we're trying to do. We know we're providing programs and services for people on the spectrum. Do either one of you have somebody within your family or within your network that you know of who's on the spectrum themselves?
I do.
Yes.
Yeah, I do.
Yes. So that really brings it home as well. I think when you know somebody that's on the spectrum, and before your organization, the support it provides for Ag4Autism and PAFN, there weren't those resources around, and they're so critical for helping those people that just need that bit of help, learn differently, etc., to be able to grow and excel.
Yeah, and support the families. I think there's a lot of value in your organization and in your tournament. In fact, Steve, I've talked to your volunteers in the past, and I'm very moved by the commitment that they have to your organization and the passion they bring. And yeah, it's a good fit for both our organizations.
Thank you for those comments. I remember when we had our grand opening on December 3rd, and there was a family there from Hope, and they had I think 4 children on the spectrum, and they were utilizing the services in Richmond. So you're going from Hope to Richmond, and you have 4 children on the spectrum. They were so happy that there was something in Chilliwack, which is a little closer to Hope, for them to utilize. That just brought it home for us. Like, yes, there are people here that really needed this service, and we can't do it alone. We need support from the industry, and the industry, both the dairy, the poultry, the vegetable, the winery, they've all come to the table, including Vitalus, and we can't thank you enough. And we want to make sure that our sponsors get the recognition they deserve, because you don't have to donate to us. You can donate to any other organization. So we're very glad that you choose to be part of our endeavor, right? So I'm going to ask you both a real quick question before we leave you. I know you're both very busy. If somebody were to ask you, they're thinking about, joining our team and becoming a sponsor, donor, player, what would you tell them? What would you say to them?
Well, I'll go first. I would tell them that 100% you're going to get a lot more out of it than you're going to put into it. And you're going to be involved with a fantastic organization with dedicated volunteers. And it'll just be a great experience. Go for it. Don't hesitate.
I would echo Elena's comments, and maybe even more relevant in today's time. I know times are tough with COVID and everything that's brought on, and I would guess particularly for charities, but yet there's still these needs out there, probably more than ever. And so I would really encourage people to participate. As Elena said, you always get more than you actually give out of this. And as an organization, your employees, your company will get more than it gives. And thanks, Steve, it's your passion also that initially attracted us to this. And then, of course, being part of the community, et cetera. So those are all elements that I would say, I'd tell them, have lunch with Steve. And if you don't get excited after that, I don't know what doesn't get you excited. So.
I've done a few of these interviews, and, and just sharing stories from some of the, not just the golfers and the volunteers and the sponsors. We even spoke to a young man who's on the spectrum, and, the value that he sees and what's available for him. It just makes it all worthwhile. And thank you to Vitalus. Thank you to you, Phil and Elena, for being part of our team. We can't do it without your support. We come back to you every year. Just like, taxes, we come back every year. Taxes you have to pay. This you don't have to, but you choose to, and we're very glad that you do. Thank you for your continued support, and we look forward to seeing you. I know that, Elena, will you be there on Monday?
I have another event, so unfortunately I'm not going to be there. I'll be sorry to miss it, but it's on my calendar every year. So yeah, I'll be there again.
And hopefully next year we can have a return to normal, I guess you could say, where we can have everybody there together and have the big dinner and enjoy the day together. But this year we had to be COVID friendly and had to kind of spread it out throughout the day. And I think it's going to go over very well. We've got it all organized. Thank you to the both of you. Appreciate what you do for us and for the dairy industry. Keep doing what you do, and I hope to see you both soon.
Great.
You too,
Thanks, Steve.
Thank you.
Thank you.